Hi, I'm Gary Null, and I'd like to welcome you to another presentation of our Classroom on the Air. Today, the topic, it's not going to take long, is called pain. Yes, that is a very common problem in the United States for a lot of different reasons, because there's a lot of different pains. Lower back pain is one of the most common, but so is ankle pain, feet pain. You look down and you suddenly have purple little lines around the ankles and feet where you got headaches. Or maybe you have elbow problems, ankle problems. You have problems moving your hands when you wake up in the morning, creating pain when you do. And then there's muscle pains, fibromyalgia, and a lot of other, including diseases like cancer that have their own unique set of pain and diabetic neuropathy pains. But all these pains have something in common. I'm going to make it real simple. Inflammation. So if you want to go to the heart of how we prevent pain and reverse pain, then prevent anything and reverse anything that causes inflammation. What causes inflammation? Alcohol in any amount? Yeah. Your fried foods, your deep fried foods in particular, grilled foods, that's a lot of the American diet. Yes. Sugars? Yes, because they cause yeast to grow and kill the good bacteria and proliferate the bad bacteria. That causes all kinds of pains in the gut. Also, something we almost never think about, especially athletes. And I wanted to test this myself today. So while out doing my workout in the morning, everything was fine. But then when I came back and I decided to have my breakfast, I had a little different breakfast. I had a high protein breakfast. I took vegan powder and I put it in a bowl, 1 scoop, and then had some wild blueberries, a banana, and some coconut water, and that was it. Simple. And immediately I felt pain in both ankles. Now I know what this is from. It's from too much protein because my body doesn't need that much. So when I don't use a protein concentrate, but I use less protein, and this was very high protein, then there's no pain at all. I get the benefit of working out and get the muscle, the gripness of the muscles, the leanness, no fat. So it's knowing that even healthy foods can cause pain in different parts of the body if you have too much, because the body can't store protein. Therefore, what's not used has to be broken down. And I found this years ago when we were training hard. I mean, sometimes we were training, a low train was 12 miles a day. A high train, especially for marathons, I've done over 84 marathons, would be about 20 miles a day. And so you'd have to eat enough, otherwise you become skinny and you wouldn't have any muscle mass left. If you ever notice, some of these runners look like bean poles. I mean, they're really skinny. And so we'd be taking, like 100 grams protein. That wasn't good. That's before what we would know the problems of too much. Now we tell people, take your protein in smaller amounts, maybe 15 grams, 20 grams protein in the breakfast, maybe 20 in the afternoon, and 20 in the early evening. So spread it out. Suddenly, that makes a difference. Now, if you take your protein from meat, which a lot of people are, we're talking about tens of millions of Americans, several hundred million Americans get their protein from meat. There's a byproduct of that meat, arachidonic acid and purines, and that's what has historically caused gout. And gout's when you've got too much of these purines in the body and lactic acid builds up and just feels like charred glass underneath the skin. And this was the plague of the wealthy, the aristocracy. Why? Because they ate the meats. It was a privilege to have the game farms where you go out and have your staff kill a deer, venison, and eat it. But they didn't have the fruits and vegetables. They had bread, potatoes, meat, and some kind of alcohol. Needless to say, they didn't live long lives, they weren't healthy, and they were in pain. Now, so get rid of all inflammation-causing items, carbonated beverages, sugar-sweetened beverages. Get rid of all that, and suddenly you're going to see a huge reduction in all pain. Then there's certain nutrients that really make a difference. Cat's claw. is very important. Cayenne, at about 40,000 heat units, that's one capsule of cayenne twice a day. And suddenly that's increasing circulation, especially to your ankles and your feet, to your brain, and that's going to help reduce a lot of pain. There's also cayenne pepper creams you put on that help. Also, there is light tissue massage. There's trigger point therapy, where a person goes in who knows what they're doing with their thumb, and they'll hold an area where you're, really tight and you've got pain there. And then they hold it for about 60 seconds and suddenly feel release. The muscle release goes out of spasm. And now energy's flowing. That's big. I would have to get that every single week on a Saturday because my muscles were so tight. This also allows you more fluidity in the muscles. Your muscles are sparking. They're like spark plugs. Now you have, I remember once going to an indoor championship at the Armory, and I was so tight. I got there early, and it was 8 o'clock in the morning when they just opened the doors. I just couldn't get loose. I was stretching, couldn't get loose. But there's this gentleman there who had the most unique way of dealing with the body. He's a physiologist. Put me on the table, and he would touch something up here in my back or across my chest, and suddenly my leg would pop. He said, these are all interrelated. And I went back out on the track, and I just felt, my legs felt like rubber bands. I could just move smooth and easy. So get yourself in the hands of a good exercise physiologist, because that will help you with almost all those pains. But the number one way of dealing with pain, in my experience, is acupuncture. I get preventative acupuncture, and boy, does it make a difference. And I took a friend who has chronic pain because of degeneration of the spine. And within one session, suddenly there was about an 80% improvement in the pain. And then twice a week for 2 months, pain's gone. Chiropractic adjustment helps also with spinal pain, because the acupuncture and acupressure, doing what an acupuncture needle does, but with your finger, a trained person can do this, you are able to get energy flowing to where it needs to go. You're opening up your chi. You're revitalizing the tissue. Simple things, not difficult, not expensive, and they work. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.
Are you tired of closed-minded programming? Well, look no further than PRN.Live, the home for progressive voices.